Hello, let me continue where I had left off last time. Please have a look at the monitor. This was inside the one of the remote controls. Now, what I had told you then and what I continue to tell now is that several of the extra features which they show here are not that much useful for us anymore. For example, this had something called some text option, something and so on, subtitle and all that. They need to be supported by the channel who is what do you call giving us the facilities, and some of them are probably archaic. Mean things like Oracle, teletext and all that, which made sense when these remotes are being made, are no longer that popular. At one time practically very few channels were there, and total bandwidth available was very small, like we did not have that, only small number of channels, narrow bandwidth. At that time it made sense to cover as much as you can using this text option, using all these things. Right now, because of the divergent standards and so on, they are no longer as universal I would like to have. So, in the end we will end up with a device which is just about having additional features which cannot be directly appreciated, or sometimes they will be quite irritating to have them. Now, if you look at this, if you remember, I had started about saying let us have a what is called at best a top down approach. The top down approach being can I make a remote which is current and useful and has functionality which is just about sufficient. And once again here, because of the usability or experience issues, one has to quickly make a prototype, pass it along to your team and make sure that it is very quickly produced, for which a prototype is required. And now even for a prototype, where I had started with saying how most of those things what you say there have got made was long ago using a standard graph sheet and various types of decals. This is how industrial design was maybe around 30 years back. A few places there were other things, Illustrator software and all that, but eventually what we had was good old way of managing things as best as we can. Now, if I take one of these, I have got a layout basically done by any illustrator program. Fortunately, we have trial versions of so many of these 2D packages, and it was made by using one of them. Even today you can try on your own, whichever is good. So, I will not name any things on the other way. One of the things you notice is there are buttons and buttons and buttons. There are in fact so many things to press, so many things to do and all that. So, if I go back here, you see here there is something on one side, there are this what looks like it could be, you can treat it as a right button or a left button. There is a left and right, I mean up and down, and then we have this. Now, the point I was trying to make all along is, in the case of electronics equipment, two realities exist. One of them is you must have a working circuit, and from there you should be able to estimate what will be the size of the eventual equipment or small device you want to build. That is, I am not contesting it, because occasionally we end up with this question saying chicken or egg. Even nature has left it to us. Having done this, now we will come across, in the simple graphical way, it is possible for us to add certain small mark centers of places where we need to keep the switches. So, I will close it again. I will try to open this. Things are interesting. What I have done is, I have taken a existing device and copied this pad directly here to a ordinary illustrated program. In this case, my computer came with Paint shop. So, MS Paint is enough for us to do these things. The critical thing is, I am not laying a PCB. Remember, I am not making a layout in this. For example, mine do not have any these connections and all that. It is just that I am trying to place most important things, because from the user's point of view, what is or she or they are interested is how well the equipment works, not how things are. It is a miracle. In fact, if you see a mobile phone, it is not easy. I can't make one. I am sure you kids can easily make one. So, what I have done is, I have taken these small things, I just copied them at various points. See this here, looks fine, isn't it? Absolutely fine. However, we end up with two unknowns. You have seen this great unknown here. How do we get in a display here? We do have a problem about displays. For convenience's sake, we have beautiful rectangular things, because that is the best yield you can get during the manufacture of these devices. You understand, no? When you try to make this LCD, and then there is also a simple dot matrix display, you have to do something to make sure that this goes in here. So, obviously you need progress. The moment you make this, obviously the first attempt, it is not possible to accommodate these things here. However, if you examine these displays themselves, you notice that all sorts of things are available. See here, the actual window area is 16.4 by 64.5 millimeters. This is the window area. Now, all around we have mechanical details. One of the first mechanical details is probably the mounting hole. Now comes the thing. If these are made in large enough numbers, it is possible for us to reposition, make these things as we require on order, and if you search enough, if you get it. If you have a proper amount of generic demand for these things, somebody is out there ready to help us. Now, you see here, these are the contacts. Why I am showing is, from the manufacturer's catalog, probably you need to take a scaled printout. Take a scaled printout, and after taking the scaled printout, cut it, make sure it follows the dimensions that are mentioned in the data sheets. Now, very conveniently you can go around placing them wherever you like and see whether you can get it fitted into this. Tough, is it not? Intentionally I have taken something from a random size and try to attach it to a wiring board, and these are not the compatible ones, absolutely there is something else. However, if you go down a little, you will notice that, see, with such a large number of devices are available here. You have 2-inch with serial interface, then 2.4 inch, then we have 2.8 inches, then we have 3.2 inches and so on and so on. No? These small displays have been made available because of demands by designers like you. And for the first device, even if you are to scale something by say 1.5 times, it is not going to come to the end of the world. You can always have a working model based on all the position of all the components which I have shown you and show it to next team with whom you are working. I am sure too many times you have heard this saying, we work as a team and we do not have over the world design. It is partly true, but at least for the first time to see what it is the designer of the device wants and what is it the electronic design people want, and finally what is it that the production people can make or what they go about depends a lot on all these things. Okay, I hope I have made my point. I thought I will just stop here. Now, if you go and examine one of these things a little closer, see here, I do not even know what it is called. It just says LCD module. The row of keys here, what looks like another header is there. I actually do not know what this is, and then we have this beautiful module here. If you have the module, it is fine, but the time where you are trying to start the design, it is unlikely that you have even decided what module is required. At that point, that is where I would like to say, saying you can probably get a something like this, and now you see that things like the overall dimension of 67 millimeters by 42 millimeters, this is there. So, cut a small template, and this is where so far what I have been talking comes out. If you were to make a template like this and keep it, and very easy for you because it is basically 2-dimensional, take a accordion plated folder and then file all of these things, and you have all of these things forever, because usually after you start, by the time it comes into production, and by the time it comes into production, and often we end up with saying, see, the center distances are different, saying the overall dimensions are bigger or smaller, it will be useful for you if you have it and your files can be updated. Seen that, no, the importance of having a scaled drawing is very, very, very useful. So, it comes here. Now, on the other side, so many things are there. So, you have something, I really do not know it, this, in common this thing, it looks like a reset button, then this looks like the power supply and ground buttons, and we have all this beautiful layout. and there are enough programs where you can take one of these things and straighten it. Photoshop is one of them. Otherwise, I am one of the fan of Autodesk Pixeler. You can put this in Autodesk and then rotate it, and then distort a few things so that it looks exactly to scale. Now, once you get a device like this, it is very easy for us to keep a template of it. So, we have a box of templates which show various things here. A smaller LCD module, I do not know where I have got it. Once again, just kindly remember things like these mounting holes and all that, as it is supplied, it comes like this. However, if you have them in large enough numbers, and there are people out there who will help you re-engineer these devices such that you need not exceed this LCD size on one side. So, probably you can get rid of this dimension and so on. You have a neat compact device you can use wherever you want. And just reminding myself and reminding you that most of these, the devices which you see around, all started with simple handmade cardboard models, which I am suggesting that you can try. Now, seen here in the Illustrator program, I have marked the centers. After that, I have tried to add all these things, and finally, at this point, we probably need to look around and see what best we can do things here. Can you see this? Why I am showing it is there are two important points which I need to point out here. One of them is these are, it is just a, I will say, cardboard sheet or whatever I can see it, and this is the external display which the user will be seeing it. So, I will make this a little smaller. You have seen this, no? This is the display, user will see it. In fact, probably you can make a cutout and place a transparent sheet like those polyester sheets we were using earlier for overhead projectors. It has two important things, makes it, meaning saying you are trying to make it look like a display, and the other thing is you can mask things at the back. You have seen it, no? You can happily mask things at the back. So, the actual display may be an odd display, probably sticking out like this rectangular thing, and in fact you can probably move it out also. Then this is only a thing which is visible on outside, but the actual display can probably be coming all the way here. You understand? And you need a mask of the shape and size which will make the display very useful. Now, kindly look at this. Sir, can you switch on that this thing? Right. I am sure. Oh, it is falling through. It is a blue chroma. This is nothing but a small device from well known Mentos packet. It looks cute, looks clean, and one side, if you see here, this one is a transparent blue colored transparent sheet, and all you need to do is make a sticker when you put it. Next one I will show you. Finally, I will come back once again back to this. I am not suggesting that you do this the only way, just one way of just pointing out that it is possible for you, because these are all standard sizes. This typically 50 mm, that is 2 inches, and this around 100 mm, that is around 4 inches, and the thickness is half an inch, that is approximately a little less than 15 millimeters. So, these look very much like various types of remotes and things which we can use. Now, you see, this is what I was telling you, this is intentional. I have a cabin fan here on top, which I wanted to control. Then I have a what I call air conditioner, cooler, warmer and so on, and I have this Mentos box. Have you noticed something here? This part of the key is transparent. I am sorry, this part of the box is transparent. So, in case I need to do anything, I can just make a small cutout here and mount a display as I like, and at this point I can go and add keys to make it a little more meaningful. But this is exactly what a very simplistic view of product design is saying. I take an available some device and then try to stick things around and make it look like a product, which is actually not the correct way things are. But instead, earlier if you remember, I had shown you something else. So, my colleague helped me make this what could be called keys. They are all just been made with cardboard of different colors, and you see here, when you put it on a graph sheet, typically this is about just a little less than a what you call 2 centimeters. So, this thing sit well in a 1 inch by 1 inch matrix. So, if you can just take a 1 inch by 1 inch matrix, things sit here, and eventually they have been placed there. Slowly, my concept is getting ready. Since that what started has just a box of those mints, slowly it is taking shape and looks a little like this. Again, do not be distracted by what I was just showing. I thought it is one way because I have not yet started a proper thing, and now you see here what I have done is, after measuring the dimensions of the available small enclosure, I have now put all of these things into a Illustrator, typically Microsoft Paint. Why it has been put is, these are perfectly to scale. All I need to do is take a 1:1 printout, cut it and transfer this onto a box which I have. So, you see here 100 by 50 after leaving 5 mm all around, and you see the beautiful corner filleting or radius. I have something which is quite ready to be actually used. So, after I take a printout, probably I need to make sure, measure one more time that it measures whatever it shows here, and here comes the next thing. I can add things as I like. Aha. I am feeling thrilled because I am able to do something, and I am sure all of you can do this. This again, kindly remember, I am trying to fit things into the thing which is available. and this seems to very nicely after leaving 5 millimeters all around. I have a usable area of 90 by 40 millimeters, and I can probably make a cutout here, and in this case I have added all these things. Do not ask me what they are, just a random. They are right now at the moment these are not likely to make any sense at all, except there is arrow, we all know what it is, and then instead of saying increase and decrease, I am sure you have seen in some of those devices, if you press one larger icon, things will go big. If you press the smaller icon, they will get smaller. While population stereotype is that this will move things up and down, this probably a small learning experience saying if you keep pressing the button, something becomes enlarged with the existing thing. Done. When I go out again, it started here, transferred onto this, so that to see how it looks like, and this is a concept. The only difference between this is, since this is a made in a package where depending on if it can be stored as a raster or as a some other way of storing these things, we can change the sizes easily. Understand, no? If it is rasterized, not much we can do, but then even then we can cut and paste it. Maybe we can cut it here and then move it up a little and then patch it up. But then a lot of CAD packages do not work in CAD type, especially solid modelers have NURBS, that is non-uniform rational B splines. Those splines are actually lines which are defined by a starting and end point and probably a middle point. So, the database contains things about these entities which can be easily modified. That is, solid modeling is a separate thing. What I wanted to tell is, for you to start your thing, it is just enough for you, you start with a simple raster package. Now comes the equally important thing with which you after making a layout in a slightly better higher level of things where they can be stored as splines or lines, there are a way of graphic exchange programs are possible. It is called initial graphic exchange. So, in this initial graphic exchange, you see this, so many of them are there. For example, ProE is a very common thing. Okay. Then you have solid edges are there, and if you go down, no, the good old 3ds Max is there, and then you have CATIA, and the very original, of course it is, then Maya is there, and AutoCAD's DXF and DWG formats are there. The moment you make this concept, it is possible to take these outlines and export them to a regular package which understands IGS, DXF or DWG or a very large number of formats which are vector based. So, no, the word vector somehow has other meanings in physics, but in this case lines which are stored as that splines are all called vectors. Advantage of vector is you can move it around, pick anything and then you can stretch it, you can scale it, you can make it non-uniform and all that, which a simple 2D illustrator may not be able to make. After you export these things using any of these formats, now we know very well the data is there, and these formats are the ones which are also used by the printed circuit board packages, they readily accept a few of the parameters. One of them is location. Just for fun I have shown this, but the location of this now can easily be taken. Another is outline, loosely called form factor. I will avoid the word form factor. I mean probably it makes sense in some places, but in this case. And once you have what you want to place where, at least the game has started. Followed, no? The game has not, what do you call, you have not won the game, at least we know what the rules are. So, thank you. Let me continue in the next session. Thank you.